I'm Shorty.
Shorty. Okay, Shorty.
All right, we have a few questions for you today.
That would be great.
Number one, what were you doing before you entered the service?
Before I went to the service, I was 17 when I went in the service, so I was in high school. I was going to school,
Right.
right? So I guess there's nothing really I was doing. I did have a job. I worked at Cole's Bakery after school, but you know, you had to be 16 to start work, and I worked from 16 until I joined the service.
Right.
Right.
So you went into the service like right after you graduated?
Well, actually, at that point they had what was called the delay program. I actually signed up for the service while I was in high school,
Oh, okay.
and didn't actually go until we got out of school. So I signed up in June or sometime like that, didn't go until September.
Okay.
In what branch of the military did you serve?
Marine Corps.
Marine Corps?
Yes.
It's awesome. My brother's in the Marines.
Hey man, I thought it was awesome. It was
Yeah, well,
great.
he had some problems, so he's medically discharged.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You know, I guess the Marine Corps is somewhat of a challenge. It draws kids or younger people because of the challenge. And,
Yeah. He said it was definitely really hard.
huh?
He said it was definitely pretty hard.
And I've had two sons in the Corps since I was in, and man, they have, and I don't agree with it, they lowered the standards. In other words, everybody's taking care of everybody. Okay, you don't do this anymore. And I'll tell you this, there's no such thing as being too disciplined or too trained when you go to combat. So I didn't agree with lowering the standards.
Right,
All
right.
right. All right. My question is, where and when were you born?
Pardon me?
Where and when were you born?
Where and when was?
You're born.
Yeah.
I was born in Muskegon in 1950. I was born at Mercy Hospital, which is where Muskegon High School is now. That used to be Mercy
Yeah.
Hospital right over there, and I was born right in there.
That's interesting.
Yeah. For real. Where did you serve?
Pardon me?
I said, where did you serve?
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
I went through basic in California. Once I was through with training, I went to Vietnam. Once I got out of Vietnam, I went to Quantico, Virginia, and once I left Quantico, I was at Washington, D.C. I left there and went to Camp David for
Did you enlist? Or
Yes,
were you
I did.
drafted? You enlisted? Why did you choose to go to the Marine Corps?
because, like we said from the beginning, the Marine Corps is a challenge, or it presents itself as a challenge.
Right,
And
yeah.
as a young person, that's what I want. I want a challenge, you know.
Right.
So it was that kind of thing. And plus, they had nice uniforms.
That makes sense. After you got out of the Marine Corps, how did you stay in touch with your family?
Pardon me?
Or
How did I stay in touch with who?
your family and friends, like when you were in the Marine Corps?
In the Marine Corps, well, the only part of my tour that would have been difficult was in Vietnam. Other than that, it was strictly stateside duty, and I could come and go as I pleased, and plus I had made rank pretty readily, so, you know, I didn't have any hindrance. And Vietnam, they had just started where you could actually call home, you know, through walkie-talkie type things, and man, you say something, and 15 minutes later, an answer will come back. Oh, yeah, you know, so it was that kind of thing. So that in writing, you know, but you got to understand it ain't a whole lot of mailmen in that in Vietnam. So
Right.
you know, it was kind of communications at that point was to a degree. You can write stuff, and every now and then it'll get there, and you'll get something back. But nah, I didn't do a whole lot of that.
Right. So, When you were out of the war, how did you readjust to civilian lifestyles?
Okay, see, that is a question that, first of all, you got to understand that you yourself don't consider yourself needing adjustment. You're normal as can be, right?
Right.
Okay, but people say that, boy, you really act different when you first came, and how did you adjust to it? I guess it's just like you got into that. It's a gradual process. You grow out of it. What do they call it? Decompress or, you come out of it. But
Right.
yeah, did I do anything special? No. And then too, I guess it's part of the scenario where the old saying where an idle mind is the devil's workshop. I come right out of Vietnam. I went right into other things that was requiring time and thought and stuff like that, and then come right out of the service. I got out of service September the 1st. 10 days later, I was in college. I didn't stall
Right.
around to wait for
Right.
things to keep moving, kept things going.
Right. You got one, short?
All right, my last question. What was a main life lesson that you learned when you were in the military?
I mean,
Have you learned any main life lessons while you were in the military?
I can't understand. I don't hear very well, and you talk soft and looking away.
Right.
Have you learned any life lessons when you were in the military?
Man, I'll tell you this. The military, to me, has been something that looking back on, I would have hated to miss. I think everybody should experience that. Man, you can't imagine the life lessons you'll learn from that. Just like going to Vietnam, man, you see people around here that say, oh, I'm having a hard time. Man, when you see third world countries, you understand then what a hard time is. It's a lot of learning. You learn to appreciate a whole lot more, as opposed to big dreams. Man, just happy to be here. Great life lessons in the military. Everybody should experience that because a lot of people start out wanting too much or expecting too much.
Yeah.
So, yes, you learn. I did. And then there are other people, oh no, I don't want none of this. Don't want to see reality, but it's there. And you get to experience it. You get to learn it. It's worthwhile. I think everybody needs a small taste of that.
Right.
Right.
So I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
How did your wartime experiences affect your life?
Wartime experience will affect my life. Okay. To me, it made me a survivor. My wife would tell you it hardened me. In other words, I don't get too close to anything because I guess surviving has to do with not being too close to things, and so I look at it as survival. My wife looked at Billy. You're hardened. You don't. I'm not as emotional as.
It's like you learn things come and go, so you don't get too attached.
Things come and go. Yeah,
Exactly.
But now even that, gradually you grow out of it. I mean, it's going to change. I'm not as. I guess being in the military not only happened to me, it happened to my family. Billy, you're not in the military. You can't do the kids like this. I heard that all my life.
Right.
So, but I was associated with the military even till now, and started at 16. I'm 65. So.
Right.
Right. The last question is, what is your definition of patriotism?
Patriotism, to me, patriotism is, I guess to put it so that in today's terms, it would be like you telling your friend, I got your back. You telling your family, your wife, I got your back, meaning I'm going to stand behind you. If you need it and I got it. Patriotism is you saying that for the country.
Right.
That's what it is as far as I'm concerned.
I see. Anything else for you, Shorty?
I believe that's all the questions.
Well, thank you for your time.
Hey, glad
I
to-
really
Thank you very
respect that you
much.
coming in, and thank you for serving our country.
Thank you for
Yeah.
caring.